also ran Walter Mondale reportedly will endorse her. Who's in line for the priceless Mike Dukakis endorsement? Much fun to be had on that subject. We'll get to the inconvenient truth of the Democratic presidential field that Al Gore may be more popular than any of them. We begin with an inconvenient truth, the movie, and its Nobel Peace Prize winning star. Joining me with his insights into Al Gore's inconvenient truth is Marlo Lewis, Senior Fellow at the Competitive Enterprise Institute. Mr. Lewis, thanks for coming on.
Well, glad to be with you, Tucker.
So here's my understanding of the debate, to the extent there is one, on global warming, that everybody agrees the Earth is getting warmer. There is some agreement that mankind, industry, is responsible for some of that warming, but there's no consensus on whether we can do much about it. Is that your understanding of the state of the argument?
Not exactly. I would say that a preponderance of scientists do believe that the recent warming, the warming of the past 30 years, is largely the result of the accumulation of greenhouse gases in the atmosphere. I would say that most scientists, though, understand, even if they don't publicly say that there isn't a whole lot we can do about it. For example, the Kyoto Protocol, which is Al Gore's baby. He negotiated it for the Clinton administration. When Al Gore was vice president, he asked Tom Wigley of the National Center for Atmospheric Research, a leading climate modeler, well, how much global warming have I just averted by negotiating the Kyoto Protocol? And Tom Wigley calculated 7/100ths of a degree centigrade by 2050. In other words, too small to even detect or measure or verify. So, and Kyoto, of course, is understood to be just the baby step in a grand plan, but the baby step is estimated to cost the U.S. economy, if we were to implement it, about $180 billion a year. So you have to wonder how much 30 Kyotos would burden the global economy and whether that would be worth the small modification in global temperatures that we're going to see over the 21st century.
So if Kyoto, which was rejected overwhelmingly by the Senate, I believe, during the Clinton administration, wouldn't make, because it was considered too radical and too hurtful to the U.S. economy, if that wouldn't make much of a difference in global climate, what about the individual decision about what kind of car to drive, which is taken as a kind of signal of your moral standing? Good people drive Priuses, bad people drive SUVs. Is that really significant?
Well, that's just a drop in the bucket. But, you know, interestingly, Tucker, if you were thinking about the Supreme Court decision, which requires the Environmental Protection Agency to set emission standards for automobiles, CO2 emission standards, carbon dioxide standards, that's really a regulatory Pandora's box. Al Gore and his friends are very strategic, and what they're hoping is that once the Environmental Protection Agency starts regulating the drop in the bucket, they can be litigated into regulating the entire economy and really prohibiting, for example, any new coal-fired power plants from being built, basically constraining the economy at 1990 levels of production and population, and then ratcheting it on down from there. So the potential for economic damage is very high from these policies.
Let me just say that the argument that Gore and many people who support Al Gore's point of view, position on global warming make, is that if you disagree, even in the particulars, even in a relatively minor way with his position, then you are clearly in the pocket of the polluters. You're taking money from some kind of carbon-based energy company. Are there totally independent scientists who don't believe we can do a lot about global warming?
Oh, yeah, of course. And in fact, many of the scientists who are regarded as skeptics have been authors of the IPCC reports. For example, my friend, and I am very proud to call him a friend, John Christie, a satellite scientist, and Roy Spencer. They have both written chapters or they've been lead authors of IPCC reports. At least John Christie has. I know Roy has contributed. So there are independent scientists out there. I think, though, that one of the things Al Gore is often now lauded, at least in this current episode of winning the Nobel Prize, he's lauded for having put global warming on the map and wakened up the world. So now we can talk about it. But in fact, Al Gore and I would say the global warming movement generally has actually had the effect of discussion by insisting that everybody toe their party line, and that if you don't, you're a bad human being. At the very least, you're in the hip pocket of some greedy polluter. And that puts a chilling effect on speech, unfortunately.
No, there's without question.